Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Let Me Talk to My Customer. I'm your host, Chad Counts. Going to be streaming solo today as we talk about hiring. We're going to take a little bit of a departure from our normal format of me, myself, and Rich talking about sales predominantly, and we're going to be discussing some hiring mentalities. So before we get into our subject matter for today, I want to remind everybody we have many of our available sales and consulting services available to each of you guys, as well as performance coaching as well. So those of you who don't know or are new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe or like or leave a review if you would, any of the places you find it, whether that be on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you're finding us. We'd love to hear from you. If there's any way that we can benefit you all, if you feel like your team or your company is stagnant, you're struggling to keep pace, and to me, that pace is anything short of 20% growth year over year, especially the last 2 years. In previous years, 10 to 15% annualized growth. So if you're below those numbers, if your team or your company are below those numbers, please reach out to us. Something is not going right in your operation or not as well as it could be, and we'd be happy to steer you in the right direction. Nothing makes us happier than seeing people unlock their potential and reach their goals, reach the level of sales that we're hoping for. And we've been tremendously pleased with being able to do that with a number of our companies that we do sales management for, or we do one-on-one trainings for. So again, reach out to us, reach out to me in particular, crcounts at countsbusinessconsulting.com. Would love to chat with you and see what we could do to help you out. All right. So for today's episode, we're going to be talking about hiring. We're going to go into that. That has been a very just like buying, I can't remember the last time I've talked to somebody, and I would say, this is going on 5+ years, where hiring has been easy or that inventory has been easy. We can be very, very successful in this industry. There's a lot of potential. There's a lot of good that can come. And that said, our pain points haven't changed. If anything, they're maybe a little bit cyclical and get a little bit harder or a little bit easier at different periods. But buying inventory and hiring good people have been at the forefront of our hardest challenges. So a mentality that I think many people get wrong is hiring. So that's going to be our focus here today. And there's going to be a simple maxim that we're going to unpack on today's episode, and that is being slow to hire and fast to fire. It's something that I think most of us have backwards and most of us get wrong, is that we are fast to hire and we are slow to fire. And when we operate under that mentality, we are constantly reacting, and that's typically the reason why we find ourselves in that situation to begin with, is the fact that we have a lot of other demands on our time, and hiring and talent or people is not as high a priority as it should be. Typically inventory number one, pricing and sales is number two. People are some here way at the bottom, but a common theme amongst the top performing yards is just a higher caliber of people. They have people that are more capable of producing on their own or training other people, solving their own problems. They attract more customers. They attract other good employees as well. And that comes, it's a lot easier to build when you're already strong. Definitely when you get to a point where you lose a key employer, you lose somebody, you end up being reactive and just trying to fill and just grab the next person that can come in. And that really puts you at great risk as a company by allowing that sort of turmoil and upheaval to constantly wreak havoc in your operation. It's very difficult to build sustainable growth, sustainable success. There's a lot more stop-start. And so when we look at, like I was talking about, annualized growth of 20+%, or in normal non-pandemic, non-COVID years, 15%, let's say, those companies don't have those months or 2, 3 months where they have these dips or these cycles where I'm replacing somebody or I'm having to stop or things tend to snowball in a negative direction. And in large part, I think that's because they're always attracting talent. They're always hiring. So slow to hire, be proactive. I am surprised. I think I've talked about this for at least the last few years. You typically know how many people are you going to have to hire in a year. For most companies, you have a pretty good handle on that. Are you going to hire 3 people, 6 people, 12 people? Typically, there's been some sort of average that's likely not to really deviate too much. And within that, I'm surprised that we don't plan ahead. How much are we advertising? What types of employees are we needing to hire? Where do we feel like we're most exposed? Is it in dismantling? Is it in sales? These are things that should not shock us. They are repetitive. They happen again and again. We should plan for this. We should budget for this, both in terms of time and money. And what are we investing? Where are we investing in attracting high caliber talent? Because the more multipliers you have in your business, the further you're able to go with less. The more detractors you have, obviously, the lower income per employee and the lower profit margin you're going to have, just because you have a less capable employee or team able to produce. So when you're thinking slow to hire, be proactive, not reactive. You should have budgets in place. You should have ads in place. You should have an interview thought process in place. You should have enough time to call on references, to do reference checks. Because that's definitely a shortcoming of those that are fast to hire. I need somebody now. Your resume looks decent. You're here. You're available. Can you start Monday? Let's go. And we don't do our due diligence. We don't call. And so most of those mistakes happen just because of the situations we put ourselves in. We're not planning ahead and we're not being proactive, and we end up being reactive. You should be thoughtful in your interview process. You should give them at least a trial run, give them a little bit of exposure to your employees, your better employees, whoever they're going to be working with, to assess them. We have a great job where there is some sense when they're doing their interviews that there should be a little bit of a working interview, so to speak, a demo of their talents and abilities, particularly on the parts puller or dismantler side of the operation. We should get a sense of, are they smart? What's their critical thinking? What kind of tools do they have? And more importantly, what do my other employees, what's their impression? Is this somebody they're going to want to work with or not? Does this person seem to have a team mindset? Is this the type of person we want in our culture? So I think you can use your team in part of your interview process. If you have managers of other departments and different things like that, even outside of their department, I think having a multifaceted assessment of this person is a great way to go. Thinking through beyond just the A to B tasks that this person is going to be hired for, and going into character, going into culture, going into background of who this person is. Do they have integrity? How do they respond to problems and challenges? We know we're going to have problems every day. Has there ever been a day at a salvage yard where there wasn't some sort of problem that came up? So how does this person respond? Are they good in a crisis? Do they need help? Do they when they need help, do they ask for help, or do they hide it and things like that? So we want to be assessing, we want to be asking questions that get to those underlying character issues as well. Okay, fast to fire as opposed to slow to fire. I mean, my goodness, I can't remember the last meeting we went to. I don't know if I've ever had a company say, if there was somebody you had to let go, who would that person be? And most owners and managers have an answer. If you needed to replace somebody, who would that be? So companies that are doing well are, when you're proactive, you have good staff, it's a lot easier to put somebody out who is a detriment, who's causing problems with your other employees, causing problems for you. Whereas the reactive companies that are fast to hire, they tend to have the opposite issue too. I can't let this, I want to replace this person, but I can't let them go, because if I do, I'm back in the weeds. I'm in trouble. You should be in a place with your company, if it's sustainable, if it's in a healthy place, that all you have to do is ask a simple question. Would you hire this person again? Is this somebody you would go out of your way to bring back? Is this somebody you go out of your way to hire? If the answer is no, you need to be planning for the exit of that person. Allowing that to continue, allowing that to go on unanswered. And I don't mean you have to put them out right then and there. You can certainly plan, right? Be proactive in how you want to replace them. But the longer you allow that person to stay around, the more likely it is, at least, that you're going to lose other employees. You're going to lose other employees in two ways. One, they'll be tired of working with this person and just want to go on. And two, you're going to lose productivity. Well, boss lets this person stay around and they do half the effort and they cause this problem and that. Why am I trying so hard when this person is dropping the ball continually? It's hard to hold your good employees accountable when you tolerate and allow negative employees, and that can be an attitude and that can be in performance. So if it's strictly a performance side, they have a good attitude and everything like that, maybe there's a way you can reassign them to a place that's more at their capabilities. If it's on the culture side, I hate to break it to you, but that person needs to go. Sooner or later, they're going to cause other issues. And so if they're a bad culture fit, they're just constantly causing problems otherwise, you need to be planning for their departure and replacement. Okay. Good employees ultimately want to succeed. They want to be challenged. They want to improve. They don't mind. They don't see somebody else's success as a detriment to them. They see it as something to chase. They want to have other employees that are constantly building up the company. They're pushing them to be better. They're open to criticism because they want to improve. If I don't get that negative feedback, I don't want to be criticized all the time, but I don't mind being critiqued in a way that's helping me improve. That's thoughtful. That's about my advancement. That's about my improvement. So ultimately, that's what we're after. Does that sound like how you all in your company approach hiring? And if that's not, that's something you should take a long look at as your company, because when we're in an environment where we're constantly struggling to keep up for growth, you're always going to be at risk for falling behind because you're at the whim of whoever your employees are, whoever's available looking for a job at this moment. And I hate to break it to most of us, but anybody that is currently unemployed right now and does not have a job, that's not necessarily the most appetizing person to hire. There are a few people that just came off the work line that maybe they're available, and okay, they'll be snapped up quickly. So let's close on that. Also wanted to mention, we do hiring and recruiting services. That is something our agency does, and we're happy to do. So if ever you guys are needing assistance in being proactive, looking ahead, scouting out talent, trying to find people that would be a good fit and a benefit for your company, again, reach out to us. Find us on our website, Counts Business Consulting. We have a list of our services as well as this podcast, which in its second season, we have well over 50 episodes now. So, you get a sense for who we are, what our culture is, what we're talking about, who the caliber of people that we are. We've had a lot of success helping people in this industry, and we look forward to continuing that. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention today. And again, if you're not performing at 20+%, and for some companies, even 20% isn't enough. Some companies really should be at 30+% growth right now, just with the opportunity that's available to them in their market with their inventory. If you're not seeing those sort of numbers, something is not happening correctly in your operation, please reach out to us, follow up with us, whether it's a comment with the podcast or whether it's directly. We have a link wherever you're finding this podcast. The links will connect you to each of our other media that you can connect with us as well. So thank you all very much. Hope you're having a wonderful summer. Hook 'em horns. Let's hopefully the Horns can close out a College World Series win here. They're in the Final Four, so we're excited about that as well. Robert's in Omaha right now cheering them on, so hopefully more success going there. So thanks, everybody, and wish you all the best. Hope you're having a wonderful summer again, and thanks for joining us. Thanks, everybody.